Hello guys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Watching Deer Antlers Grow. I believe this is week number 11. That's right, week number 11. That's almost 3 months. We started when these deer had just nothing showing up there at all. And we're watching several different deer. We're watching, of course, our big deer, Bazooka and Whitey and Bubba. Bubba is just unbelievable. He's almost got more than he can carry, just to be totally honest with you. He's almost got more than he can carry. He kind of needs an antler reduction. It's kind of what he needs or something. But he is just awesome, you know, and we're going to go take a look at those 3 deer. But before we do, you'll notice something else this week is how much these little babies are growing. The baby deer go enormously quick. It's just they go from little bitty tiny things to pretty good size in a very short period of time. And some of these babies were just born in the last week or two, but some of them were born, 5 or 6 weeks ago. And you'll notice the difference, and kind of pay attention to the fawns, and we'll try to get quite a bit of video of them. But you'll notice the difference of the sizes in the fawns, and that's just age. That's all it is. 3 or 4 or 5 weeks difference in age makes a huge difference with a baby deer. And it makes a difference with their survival rate too, being able to live and get by not only in the pen, but certainly out in the woods. Our deer are doing well in the pen. We had a little casualty this last week. We had a little buck deer that I think was one of the triplets. And he just didn't make it. We took him up to Apache's, and he made it all night long. He drank just a little bit, but act like he had something wrong with him internally. Act like he had some kind of internal problem. It was probably something that happened, during the birthing process, or just he had wrong with him. Just an internal injury of some sort. But he didn't make it. So we've really only lost a buck and a little doe, which is really, really good when you consider 24 baby fawns. That's that average is way, way above what would happen out in the wild, without any doubt about it. But before we go in and look at Whitey and Bazooka and Bubba, we're also watching several deer around the house. The biggest of the lot is TC, which is a deer that we had in the deer pens for a while. We turned loose last fall. He's been out of the deer pens now for several months. Hopefully he bred several wild deer out in the wild, and he's didn't show up around the house for a couple of months. He's come back in the last couple of months, and we're getting some good video of him. Plus we've got 4 or 5 other deer that had their first year's horns. One being our little baby pet buck, Forrest, named after Forrest Gump. So let's go take a look at those deer around the house and see if we can notice any changes in them this week. Well, this gives us a great opportunity to look at some of our deer here at the house. We call them Lucy's herd, or our yard deer. This is Forrest. You can get a really good close-up look at Forrest's antlers. He's going to be a beautiful 8-point, perfectly symmetrical, typical, not a non-typical, atypical, and he is just absolutely gorgeous. He's a big, tall deer, just really, really beautiful. And I don't know that he's added a whole lot this week, length or width or anything. I just have to go by and look. But he is just about perfect. One brow tine's a little bit longer than the other. I don't think anything else is going to branch out to be a 10-point. I think he's just an 8. I think he's going to be an 8, but that's his first set of antlers. So not only is he a big deer, he's going to have a really, really trophy rack on him. All right, let's get out here and look at some of our other bucks that are around. TC is right here eating with everybody. So we should be able to get a good look at TC. There's 6 right there, I believe. Get a good look at TC there. Kind of zoom in on him. He's very spooky still. But now you can see TC's got some stuff going on down around his brow tines too, coming right off his head. He looks like he's going to be 5x4. I think last year he was 4x3 is 7, so he's added a little bit. You can see how tremendously large he is, how huge he is. And he'll probably come back up here. I want to take a look at some of these other little bucks that are out here. I think that might be 6 right up there, that one on the other side of that one. We'll get as good a look as we can at 6. He's a little 6-point, and I think that might not be 6, but I think maybe it is. 6 is his number. That's his first horns also. The other little deer right beside him is a buck, and that's his first horns. But you look at the difference, there's some difference in the size of those 2 bucks. And probably that size might be just simply from, well, there's 3 bucks right there. All 3 of those are bucks. Just happened to notice that. All 3 of those guys, and 6 is the biggest one of the 3. That's just little spikes there is all that is. Now that might turn into 4 points. Those are pretty big around. They could. Those probably, yeah, I think they might turn into a 4 point also. And aught 6 is going to be a 6 point. So there are 3 little small bucks, and those bucks are the same age as Forrest, but they're not nearly as large as Forrest. So I don't know. They've got little different genetics in them. Forrest, TC is Forrest's daddy. That's great Oklahoma genetics, not an Iowa deer, Oklahoma genetics. And you can see, you look at TC and see how wide those are. And those could split out on the ends again. Both of those might split out, and he might be 6x5 as opposed to 5x4. But he's going to have another 4 or 5 points come right off the top of his head. You see those? Kind of like an extra brow tine. He's trying to get some deer out of his way. One of the things that you'll find out about deer when they're feeding, they're pretty selfish, and they're pretty ornery and mean. They can be pretty mean. Look at this little bitty buck right here. We looked at him a minute ago, but look at him right here. You see how those are probably going to split coming out of his head there. Those are pretty wide. They're going to split coming right out of his head, so I don't really know what he's going to be. He might have been a really late-born deer. I can't see exactly what that number is. I can't really tell. But, and I think everybody over there, I believe, is does. I don't know if there's a buck over there or not. Little Nine is right in the middle of them. She's got a big bowl over here sitting on the deck right beside Chris, but she's out there eating off the ground. She says, "I'm a deer, Jimmy. I'm not trained to eat out of a bowl." Well, actually, you've eaten out of a bowl pretty much all your life. So, but anyway, so that's the deer at the house. There's, I guess we're talking about $5 here at the house. 2007, that little one right there is probably a twin sister of aught 6, either 2005 or 2007. Well, no, I think 2005 was Jenny. 2005, so that's probably a twin of aught 6, 7, 6 would be. And we've tried to, for the most part, if it's possible, to tag most of the guys with even numbers. Not necessarily, but if it comes out we have twins, and so we're going to use both an even and an odd, we'll do that. But you can take a look at TC. It's a pretty impressive specimen there, and it's very likely that those will split on out on the end. Very likely that they'll split on out sometime here in the next week or 2 or 3. And watching the antlers grow of the deer here at the house, as well as the deer that we have in the pens. So let's go see what's happened to Bazooka and Whitey and Bubba this week. Okay, we're in the first pen over here. It's pretty warm out here, so we're going to be, again, like we've been the last few weeks, we're going to be very, very calm and cautious. We don't want the deer running a whole lot. Well, you know, you can see when I came over here, all the deer, this front pen is entirely empty. They've all gone to the back. I hope the back gate's not open. That would be something, wouldn't it? That has happened up here to us. We've had a situation where the gate was left open, and actually what happened was everybody left. Everybody left except a couple of does that had babies. They stayed. Everybody else left, including Bubba. But after a couple of nights, Bubba came back, and so we've got him back in there just fine. And Whitey, we let Whitey out last fall to let him go roam around and breed wild deer also. And oh, looky there. Looky there, looky there. Look at big. I'm gonna stop right here. And I don't know if that's Whitey or Bazooka. I have to get in a little closer to be able to tell. But look at that deer laying there. Will you look at those horns? I'm telling you, I think he's grown. I think they're longer. I think they're longer than they were last week. I think that they've added length to them. And I can't tell. I think that may be Whitey right over there. That deer got the tag in his... Whitey's got his tag in his left ear, so I don't know if that's right or left. The bigger of the two is Whitey. Now, they were just the opposite of that last year. But there was their first horns. This is their second horns. So we're going to go down there and take a little closer look and be able to get a little closer look. I'm zoomed out quite a bit, so as I move this thing, it's not going Not going to be very steady at all. Just bear with me, but I'm going to walk on down there and see if I can get a little closer look at them. They're just such incredibly great specimen of wild deer, or a white-tailed deer. Not necessarily wild. Look around for the babies and see what I can see. I see, oh, there he got up. And that deer there is Whitey that was laying down. And he's back up now. Will you look at that? Will you look at that? Is that amazing, or is that amazing? He is really, really got on up there big. I can see 1, 2, 3. I see one little baby down on the ground laying down, another one back here. So I see all 5 babies in here, so all 5 of them are doing just fine. But you'll look at that now. You'll see that Bazooka is tagged in the right ear. Whitey was mistagged as a baby, and is tagged as a girl and ended up being a boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, did he end up being a boy. But you take a look at those deer right there. That is just magnificent specimens of a white-tailed deer. That's just really, 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 really huge. Bazooka has a tag in his right ear like the bucks are marked, and Whitey has a tag in his left like the does are marked. But I don't think anybody will mistake him for a doe at all. They are just giant deer. I mean, they're just giant deer. And both of them are just they've added this week. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about it. They're bigger than they were. And especially, I think Whitey's just going and going and going. One of the reasons we put Whitey back in here was I think Whitey's bigger at a body weight too than Bazooka is. There's Bazooka right there, and I think he's coming toward us. Come on over here, Bazooka. Let's take a look at you. See, he's got his tag in his red ear like it's supposed to be, like his right ear like it's supposed to be. But you can see those deer are in the neighborhood of 20-point deer. I mean, that's just what they are, is in the neighborhood of 20-point deer. I haven't really counted up. Some of those are still going to split out, and they're still growing, still getting bigger. He says, I probably think I'll just go over here and lay down. That's just Jimmy in there, not too worried about Jimmy at all. Is he something, though? Is he something? He's got stuff sticking out up there all around, but I know he's got at least 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 on each side, probably over 10 on each side. You can look back there and see all the little babies right now. Now I see 1, 2, 3, 4. I saw all 5 of them up a minute ago. I only see 4 of them. One of them has laid back down, I guess. I see 4 babies over there. I saw all 5 of them a minute ago. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. So evidently another one has laid back down. They were all 5 up a minute ago. But you can see how close we are to that buck and how beautiful he is. He's just incredible. We just stand here in one spot. And now, you see that deer has the tag in its left ear. And when you look at how long those have got, everything is getting longer and longer and longer. It's just amazing. Oh, it's just so incredible when they lay down like that. Lay down and just enjoy himself. Just lay down and look at that. Is that pretty, or is that pretty? Oh my goodness, what a beautiful deer. What an incredibly beautiful deer. Just beautiful. And I now see all 5 babies. You see the difference in size of the smallest baby and the largest baby? That's always an interesting thing to me, is how quickly they grow and how quickly they separate in size just over a couple of 2 or 3 weeks of age. A couple 2 or 3 weeks of age is incredible. And you can see all 5 of those babies back there doing great, doing absolutely great. We have triplets in this pen. That's a triplets and 2 singles is what those are. Triplets and 2 singles, and these triplets have lived just fine. Our other set of triplets in the other pen, it's the only second set of triplets we've had born inside. Second set of triplets, we've lost 1 or maybe 2 of those. But anyway, that's the Bazooka and Whitey. They are very, very impressive. As impressive as Bazooka is, Whitey, you're outdoing your bro. You are outdoing your bro. Okay, we are now in Bubba's pen, and those of you who have been with us all 11 weeks. By the way, if you're watching for the first time, go back and look at some of the other weeks and see just how much these deer have changed in their antler growth. It's just been amazing from week to week to week what they have changed. And it's no different this week. This week is an amazing growth, just like the rest of the weeks were. And you can see that we have lots and lots and lots of baby deer in here. And they're various sizes because they are various ages. And the difference in size is just due to simply a week or two difference in ages. But they're just gorgeous. You can see some of those babies are getting really rather large. Others are a little bit smaller. Most all of them in this pen have got fairly decent size. There's a couple little bitty ones in here. The triplets were awfully small, and we didn't have good luck with those triplets. It's really, really difficult when a deer has triplets for all of them to make it. But you can look how healthy these little babies are and how beautiful they are. And Mama over there taking care of that one. They lick on each other a lot. The big deer lick each other a lot. They just do that. That's just part of their deal. They have very rough tongues, and so when you feel of them, they're really got quite a bit of a difference. And let's take a look right there, and there he is. There he is. That is just incredible. You can see his head is leaning because that big drop on that one side. And I hope that's not dangerous to that deer. I just hope it's not. I've never seen a drop like that. I saw an elk one time. We had an elk on the property here one time that had a big drop on one side like that. It was actually much larger than that. But that's awfully heavy. And you can see he does lean his head a little bit. He can straighten it up. But that entire rack on that one side. If those of you that haven't been with us, the other side was damaged, probably caught in the fence or something and messed up. And it didn't have hardly anything coming out of his left side as we're looking at it, his right side as he's looking at us. And that side, we didn't know if it would ever come back or not, but it's come back this year to a really big side, but not nearly as large as his left side. Which is the right side that we're looking at, the side that's got the big drop. And you can see he can't really even hold his head straight up because those horns are so gigantic. It's just absolutely incredibly large. I mean, there's nothing you can say about it. I don't know really how big he is. He's a 275 pound to 300 pound deer, so he's a giant deer. He's got an awfully strong neck, and he's held that all the way from just little nubs that started out. You know, they're pretty good sized nubs that started out, but that's all that started out, and they've grown into that, and they seem to be getting larger and larger and larger every single week. It's going to be difficult for that deer to get all of the velvet off of it. In fact, we've got rubbing posts in here for them to do that. I can't help but just zoom over here to this because look at all those little babies. Look at all those little babies. Is that precious? There's what, 5 or 6 of them right there? 2, 4, 6 of them right there in that one little area. And the babies become buddies. They run and frolic a lot in here all the time. Bubba, we don't really want you to run too much, but I wouldn't mind seeing you get out in the daylight just a little bit. Just a little bit so we could look at you. We'll move just a little closer to him. He's pretty wild. He's always been pretty wild. And you can't really get too awfully close to him. But now his antlers out there on the end have still got balls on them, which means that they will stretch out and become even larger. And you see how those brow tines are so big. You can see some of them are splitting out there. That drop tine is probably still going to split out into several more points. And I guess it's got 7 or 8 or 9 points on that drop tine right now. And you can see it bothers him, the weight of it. His head's tilted. Not a whole lot you can do about that I know of. Those are full of blood, so you can't really sedate the deer and trim them off or anything like that. Of course, he's got a big drop tine coming down off the inside of it too, so he's got double drops on that one side. And just an incredible set of antlers. That deer, no telling what that deer will score. If that one side, the second side, was the same as the other side, it would just be, I don't know, well over 300 inches, and it's going to be way on up there now. I don't know, have a clue how to score that. That's going to be hard to score. You're probably going to have to mark antlers as you score to make sure you don't score something twice, and it's going to be really, really difficult. But the deer is healthy, very, very healthy. He's extremely large. That's a large doe standing in front of him. You see how much bigger he is than her. And these babies in here, some of these babies are his. Some of them are not, but some of them are his. We have moved the deer around from pen to pen as we let a lot of deer go last fall, and we don't have that many in the pen right now. We simply let these deer go is all we're doing. We don't sell any of them. That deer there would be worth, probably a lot of money. Even with that one messed up side, the genetics are still there. So some of his babies are going to end up having horns that look like him. But that's Bubba. That's Bubba. Bubba is added, I'm sure. Go back and look a week or 2 or 3 weeks back, and you'll see that Bubba has added a lot. So that is something. The babies are just gorgeous. Those are all 3 little does right there. Because we got mostly does. We have mostly does. But all of those little does will produce some bucks in the future. All right, guys and girls, that'll wrap up this week's episode of Watching Deer Antlers Grow. Giant deer antlers grow, I might add. It's just amazing to me. I mean, I'm just so blown away by how much those are adding. It's so hot and humid out here. It's crazy right now. The deer didn't move around hardly at all. They're very, very calm, and I didn't want them running around in this heat and high humidity, but they didn't move around hardly at all, so it was just absolutely fantastic. And I hope you enjoy this. These 11 weeks into this, it's a really neat thing to watch them grow. I've loved it myself. I love going back and looking 3 or 4 or 5 weeks back and then looking at this week, and it's just incredible, I think one of the neat things that to do is we might go back and try to capture a still photo from each week, from week 1 all the way up to whatever. I don't know how far we'll go with this thing, but I'm kind of hoping we can carry it all the way into where they lose their velvet and they turn into hard horns, and we can see just really how big they are. And then hopefully, we'll be able to keep them all going, and they can make it through the rut this fall and make it till they lose those antlers, and we'll be able to pick those sheds up. I probably will turn either Bazooka or Whitey loose. Probably Whitey, because Whitey's learned to adapt and get by and out in the woods just fine. He made it through the winter, which was really, really good. He lost some weight during that rut, but bucks do that because they do a lot of running. They do a lot of chasing. They go from one doe to another doe to another doe, and they have no problem several times a day. I mean, they just do that, and they don't do it with the same doe twice. So they go from doe to doe to doe. But sometimes that takes a lot of running, and they do. They cover miles and miles. They run all day. They stop and eat occasionally, but they eat very little. They act pretty stupid, just like us guys act. That's what they are. They're just a guy. They're just a deer, but they're just a guy. But the deer around the house, we've got quite an assortment of antlers growing there. From some of them, it's first year, that's all they've got is just a couple little spikes or a little nubbin, up to Forest, which is the biggest one of the deer we got running around the house right now. We'll have some other bucks come in as the spring and summer goes on. And, of course, we'll have a lot of other bucks around there during the rut because we got a lot of does hanging around there. But TC is hanging around right now, and I think he's added width is what it seems to me this week. Y'all can look back at some of them to see what you think, but it seems to me like what he's added is width. I'm not sure he's adding too much length, and I thought that Whitey, I thought he added a lot of length from this week to last week or week before. But they're changing. They're changing every single week, and we're able to watch them, and it's just a blessing to get to do that. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one. Share this with some of your hunting buddies and some of your hunting friends. Share this with people that just love deer and like to watch them grow, because this is an amazing series we're doing here. People do not get to see this happen week by week by week unless they have deer pens like we have. I mean, it's just an unusual experience to get to have. So I know you got friends and hunting friends and just friends that love deer that would enjoy this. So share this with everybody you can. We kind of hit a little period here at Jimmy Houston Outdoors YouTube where we're not really adding many subscribers in there. I don't know if that's because we're doing a lousy job or what, but we're not adding many right now. So we need to share that out there and try to kick this thing on up. I think we're at about 109,000 right now, but it's getting a little bit bigger all the time, and it's going kind of slowly but steadily, and sometimes for some reason we have some big bumps. I guess we just have some things that maybe are a little bit more interesting. People share it more. But if you share this Watching Deer Antler Grow video, I promise you some people will really get a kick out of it, because I promise you I'm getting a kick out of it. Guys and girls, have you a great weekend out there. And remember, I sure do love you.